All right, everyone. Welcome to another super fantastic, super awesome Dame podcast. I almost forgot what it was called for a second. Not a good way to start out. I'm Wonder Aid, joined as always by my good friend
Jellyfishing. Yep.
Jellyfishing. Jellyfishing. I also don't know whether to pass it to you or
Oh,
not.
even if you don't
I gotta
pass
work
it,
out
I'll
these
take
awkward
it. So you better
kinks.
pass it.
That's true. That's true. This is a almost well-oiled machine. Almost. We're close. But it is a brand new week. It's later in the week when we're airing this one, but for good reason. We have all the floodgates are beginning to open on Switch previews and other related tidbits. Not to mention some other little goodies in regard to news. Overall, mostly what we'll be talking about are the news and the other stuff that's come out this week. So it's going to be like one big news segment. However, we do have a couple of small things. The big things we'll be talking about today is the launch lineup. We got some updates. And then the previews of Breath of the Wild and the previews of the console itself. However, on a smaller scale, and this falls under Jellyfishing's line of interests, that is a little bit of Splatoon news. If you want to take that one away, I forget what the name of this stuff was called.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can pull it up and check real quick. I forgot the exact name too. But this week we got a new stage announced and some awesome music. So let's see if I can pull up the stage within 5 seconds. If not, we'll just continue on.
If you want to catch the clip of the music, next time you're on Google or whatever, just search Splatoon Wet Floor, and it's like a 50-second clip of the song. Really good stuff. Splatoon is already a really polished package, but there's no question the music has been a pretty fun standout to the series.
Yeah, and so the stage that was shown, I mean, this is all just from Twitter, I think it's just the Japanese Nintendo Twitter, but it's like a stage for a band to perform, and so you can kind of go on the stage, off the stage, all around. It's really open, kind of
I believe we've seen it in the trailers, right?
But then they just kind of showed it off a little bit more.
Right.
Some new pictures. And,
yeah, I remember reading it was they have a special way to protect the equipment during the Splatfest or whatever.
Well, we all know water is more dangerous than ink anyway, so they better have, water protection and ink protection.
Seriously. It is a messy world to be an Inkling. All right, well, let's jump right in. So that's that. I think that was all I got for little stuff. But the Splatoon news train continueth to march onward. Let's jump into the launch titles.
Yes, sir.
This weekend, I believe it was this morning, aka last night for over here in the States, we got confirmation of a little bit of changes to the launch lineup for the Switch, which I believe may make things look a little bit better, at least a little bit, for a lot of people.
Good news. So,
yeah, which is first off, Snipaclips, Blipper Blips is now a launch title at $20. I don't know the yen. If you know the yen,
I don't know, but I mean it's probably around 2,000 yen.
Well, and this being an English podcast, I don't think there's going to be many yen spenders.
I think I'll be the only one. So
we have a grand total of one, and he's participating. But I'm actually really glad about this. I think it's going to give Snipaclips some good light and some good buzz. And it's already got some good buzz and some good lights, and I think anything they can do to push this forward is fantastic.
Yeah. That's one of those games that people saw and they're like, okay, I could see myself getting this. Maybe I won't just get Zelda. So
right. Well, because now, well, here let's get the other ones before I start going
Okay.
crazy. The other big one that I know of is Shovel Knight. I forgot its full name, but the Spectre of Shadows, I believe, is what it's called. Torment of Shadows. I'm gonna get corrected on it, but that is confirmed to be a launch title for the Switch as well, which is kind of crazy because it is a. So if you owned the previous
Yeah.
Shovel Knight on any other console, you won't get it till April. This expansion, you'll get it for free on that, but you can get it on the Switch for only $10,
Interesting.
over a month early, which is pretty awesome.
Dang.
Yeah. So I believe if I'm not mistaken, if you have never played Shovel Knight, and you jump in now, you will get for just $10. You'll get the whole set, and that's all. That's the base game and the 2 expansions, and they're actually pretty good on content. So if you're an aspiring Switch owner and you haven't played Shovel Knight, it's a great opportunity to jump in.
That's pretty awesome. And is that like is that gonna be cut off at a certain time, or is that like when you said like join now? It's not like they're gonna say it's not gonna be
timed
this for the
exclusive
next
kind
2
of a
months
thing?
only. This is until okay.
Yeah, I believe that they will continue to sell them as a
Okay,
package.
that's what I thought.
I suppose that's an important point. Like, if you're not an aspiring Switch owner and you still want to get the full set, I think it's still $10. Just come April.
Okay.
Because if you, like I said, if you already own the game, you'll get the update for free.
So you'll get
So I don't know if I'm going to grab it on the Switch or not, because I do have it on the Wii U.
okay.
But that depends on what's going to happen to my Wii U once the Switch comes out.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Let's not get melancholy.
Okay.
Okay, so that's mainly the news for launch titles. So that means, I think for a lot of people, your big hitters, your heavy hitters, are going to be Snipperclips. Well, here, let me get this in order. Breath of the Wild, and then your Snipperclips or Bomberman R, and which I think is $50, and then Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a new game rather than a port of an old game, which is somewhat of some of the other stuff coming out for it. So that's always nice.
Oh, there was one thing that I just thought of that I'll just throw out there. One of the Japanese launch titles is already over 32 gigabytes, so you'll have to buy some extra memory for that.
I think that is something that's definitely worth like a full topic.
Yeah.
But if you are interested in getting a Switch, you will most likely 100% need to think about some kind of extra storage down the line. If you want to get Breath of the Wild digitally, I'm pretty sure you need extra storage.
I think it will fit, but not much else. Like
Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds right. Because like Snipperclips, you can't get in
Yeah.
retail. You have to download it. Is it SD cards? Is it storage?
I thought it was
just
micro
looking at
SD, if I'm not mistaken. I know
I believe that
Yeah.
that's right.
my brother. But the cool thing about this is like this used to be bigger of a deal than it is now, because as the years progress, memory is just getting cheaper and cheaper. So like, if this was 10 years ago and you had to buy something like that, it would have been crazy. But now, at least it's getting cheaper to get lots of memory. So
Yes.
still worth noting, though.
Okay. I think I got something. Polygon says that it will be possible to expand the storage with micro
Yeah.
SDHC and micro SDXC
Okay.
cards, which I'll pop in and see how much those cost on average. But you're absolutely right that there was a time where this would have been a lot more expensive, but a micro SD card is not too bad. And then apart from that, like I said, hopefully, a 16 gig at Best Buy is apparently $9.
Okay.
So not
Yeah.
too bad for a Samsung one.
But those who
So
are planning on
your prices
downloading
may
Zelda,
vary, but
make sure you got one of those.
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do something like this, 16 gigs is going to be just like that'll be like when you in the GameCube days when you used to have like a game or a memory card for like 3 games. So you'll probably want to look a little bit bigger than 16 gigs.
Yeah, I mean, like
but,
even save data will take up some data, and depending on the game, that could be really
Yep.
big. So,
and system data can sometimes, like if they do updates, system updates can take part of your storage. So you're probably going to want to shoot. I mean, as someone who sold stuff like this before, I would tell you to shoot for 128 if you can. That'll give you a pretty decent amount of space. But if you're going digital, you're going to want to go even more.
And while we're giving hints to people as well, as far as making sure you buy extra memory if you're going to download, you can also choose your username right now if you hurry up before it's taken.
Yes. You have to go to the mynintendo.com, I believe.
Yeah, the Nintendo account site, like account.nintendo.com or something like that. But anyways,
I'm going to try to get the full account because like you have to like go to the site and you have to like if you already have an NID, you have to like edit your username or whatever is what it is. It's just the Nintendo account page, which is accounts.nintendo.com.
Yep.
And you log in or you create one so you can get your username. I already grabbed Wonder Raid.
Woohoo.
So I can spread my brand.
Yep.
How about we segue into that with all those little tidbits? Let's go right into the previews of the consoles themselves. So outlets, retailers, reviewers have Switches. People have them in their dormitories and homes and places of business. They're being tested. Previews are coming out. It's so jellyfishing. What have you heard?
So, apart from one thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit, overall it's been very positive from what I've seen. Like I've read lots of articles from different people. Most of what I've seen is extremely positive about how the system works, and it's like nice to hold, really easy to use. The OS is extremely fast, which is a huge upgrade from Wii U. Joy-Cons feel really nice from what I've heard. And as a big-handed person, I hope that big-handed people are also represented. But
I have no idea if I'm a big-handed person. I don't think I am. You just said
like,
that.
Am I?
Now I'm like looking at my hands. See, apparently my hands are like the same size as my wife's.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit. Hers are a little bit smaller, but she has freakishly large hands.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So yeah, but sorry. Segue aside, that's generally what I've heard. Generally, I think if we're talking form over function, or form to function, that like because you had the Wii U gamepad and like some people liked it, but there was a lot of like people who said it looked big, it looked clunky, it felt weird in your hands for some people, and I've heard nothing but good things in regards to how the Switch feels. I've heard, like you said, that it's super easy to set up. The OS is really clean. Just lots of positive. That the screen looks really nice, and a lot of stuff like that.
And I mean, I think we need to give a big high five to Nintendo for just that alone. Like, with the past 2 systems, like, while they've kind of strived for simplicity, I feel like there's still been a little something lacking. Because, I mean, the Wii was the whole let's get everyone gaming and things like that. But you had to buy all these controllers, and then you had the sensor bar and different ways to hook up the Wii and things like that. But this is just like the system is what you have in your hands. If you want to put it on the TV, just sit it down. It's got like 2 plugs to plug into the TV if you just want to be simple. It's got 2 controllers for those other games. And like you just get in, right into your games and play, which I think is awesome. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think, as far as form over function goes, it works really nice. So I don't have one yet, but
I think I think it should be noted that while this is not yet live, there is reported to be a day one patch for the
mm-hmm.
system. And that will tie into some of the other stuff we'll go into real
Yeah.
soon. But apart from that, yeah, I think it looks like it's pretty easy to just get up and get going. And like if you look at the way, like you said, the Wii U was done, and like all the little things they did to quote unquote improve it, with patches and updates for the Wii U, like you can see that change, like that paradigm shift for how they developed the OS. And I think you're right. I think there's definitely lessons learned, so to speak, from the design team.
Yeah.
However, all is not 100%
Yeah.
well. There have been some technical issues.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the technical issues, there's something that's kind of like midway there. Like it's not necessarily super bad, but they're saying the menu and what you can do on the system is very limited right now, but that could be changed with the update. So there could
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which goes back to stuff we talked about earlier about not detailing everything. Because like I believe the eShop isn't live, for example. Which I mean, not a huge deal because it'll be live when the game or when the Switch releases, but officially.
Yeah, if the system isn't down.
But stuff like, and this has been talked about, but no, you're not going to see a Miiverse. You're not going to see
No
Netflix.
Nintendo TV.
You're not going to see Nintendo TV, and stuff like that. And it's one of those things that it's, I believe, like in like the case of Netflix. Oh, and like a web browser. I don't believe there's been a web browser confirmed.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of hinting by Nintendo that those things will eventually come around.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is somewhat of a weird way to think about it because you're like, well, dude, what will I do if like I don't have, like if I'm just kind of lazing about on my system? But it's like, well, with the way the Switch works, you can play Zelda wherever now. You don't have to like do something else. You can just keep playing Zelda.
You don't have to have a life.
Right. You don't need a web browser. And Zelda should be meaty enough for that to work. Now, admittedly, I think getting Netflix and getting a web browser, I'd say almost Netflix more so than a web browser, is almost mandatory.
Yeah.
Like, I think getting if they could just get just a couple, a Hulu or an Amazon Prime or a Netflix or whatever on that, I think that would make the device a lot more appealing, at least in the U.S. market and those style places. So hopefully they can do that.
Dude, you know what I just realized though? Like, if you don't buy a controller, it might suck to work with it though. I mean, I guess you can use the Joy-Cons, but like,
how so?
Because you don't have like the gamepad to control the TV from far away, and I guess you do have the Joy-Con, but like.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah, that'll be. Yeah, I don't know.
They'll do it. They'll do it some way. But if they do come out with those internet things and things like that, they're gonna do it in a Nintendo way. Like there'll be dancing Miis or like magic tricks, or you can play
closing the curtains in the Wii U.
Flipping
browser.
rock paper scissors with your Mii while you're sitting around doing nothing. Yeah.
It's stupid, but I actually got decent use out of the closing the curtains to like. Be like, I'm gonna show my friends this video, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna let you guys watch it.
Yeah, and then you do the drum roll. You knew that, right? Like,
Wow.
you knew about the drum.
Yeah. Oh, every
Good.
time.
Just making sure.
Because that drum roll can go on for a very long time.
But yeah, we'll see
Cool.
what the day one update brings. It'll be really interesting to see.
I don't foresee it bringing anything
Yeah,
crazy.
nothing crazy.
I mean, I don't even think. Do we have any games that can be played online in the launch? Yes. Bomberman.
Yes, that is. But I think that's the first one, right?
Because Zelda doesn't have anything, and I don't think Snipperclips does. Oh, we didn't bring this up, but Snipperclips has a 4-player mode.
Oh, yes.
We've only ever seen the 2-player stuff, but there is a confirmed 4-player mode.
4-player, everyone will just be like
Um,
clipping each other to death, I feel.
Yeah, there's some team games like you're like a little basketball
Hmm.
like you and like red and yellow versus blue and green I think is
Yeah.
what it is, and it's like you're trying to get to basketball. And then there's one where it's like everyone against everyone, and it's like three stocks,
Stocks.
and if you get completely totally clipped, you lose a life.
That's so awesome.
Man, I don't know if they will, but if they did some online stuff, I'd definitely play, and I think you'd find a decent amount of people that would play it
Yeah.
with you.
But yeah, I mean, that's not a huge
Um,
thing. We have pretty much the first thing we really know of is the test fire for Splatoon, right? I'd actually have to
yeah.
check about the
I
Japanese
mean, Mario
games.
Kart will be. Oh yeah, but that's before Mario
Yeah.
Kart.
And I'll have to check the Japanese games. I don't, because we have Dragon Quest and things like that, but I don't know. And
Not 11.
Nobunaga's ambition.
Ambition.
Yeah. So
What about battery life?
battery life. Okay. So we can start off with good news, and I think overall the battery life news is good. But
I think it depends on how long your commute
well,
is.
yeah. But here we'll start off with the positive then. I think there was a news article that said for in sleep mode, 8 hours only takes 2% or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I read.
So
roughly.
that's really good. And I mean that is a brand new system.
So if you have to have it off for a
Yeah.
while,
No street pass, so that'll be too bad. But still, and that's probably
Yeah.
why it saves battery because there's no street pass. But
right?
and I assume that's in the middle of the game. Like you pause it and you can put it in sleep mode and it'll hold for that long. So times that times 50, 8 times 50. That's a lot of hours in sleep mode.
All right, sleep mode's cool and all, jellyfishing. But what if I want to play the console? What if I actually want to use it? How much time do I got? What if I love my Switch as an accessory, sure. But what if I actually want to play the game?
Keeping up with
Like Reggie tells me.
keeping up with the Joneses. Well, actually, I'm in Japan, so it's keeping up with the
keeping up with the
Awanas.
Nintendo Joneses.
Yeah.
That was terrible. I'm sorry. But yeah, what have you heard for like actual gameplay?
So from what I've heard, it's pretty much what Nintendo said. So what was it like? Breath of the Wild is pretty much 2.5 hours.
So I had seen a test. I don't remember who did it. I'm leaning towards Game Explain, but I don't want to give them undue credit. Just kidding. Game Explain does a lot of good work.
Yeah.
Anyways, I believe they did a test, and it was max sound, max brightness, Legend of Zelda. They put it down, like they put it in a field, so like they didn't leave it on like a menu or something. They left it where the game was rendering stuff, and that was 3 hours, a little I think under 3 hours of gameplay.
Okay.
So people there's been some optimistic talks that says, well, most people shouldn't play with max brightness and max sound. Well, maybe max sound, but max brightness. And so hopefully that will give you extra time, alleviate that somewhat. And again, I don't know. For some people, they might hear 3 hours and think that's abysmal. Some people might think, hey, that suits my commute. That's like, I have my commute is an hour to work, and then I can charge it again at work, and it's an hour home, and that's great. Others might not have that luxury. Myself, I actually am in a weird spot because I don't plan on using this a lot on the road. Like, maybe, I drive to get to my in-laws' house, it's an hour. And so maybe
while you're driving,
that's fine. Well, I guess if I drive to my parents' house, that's 3 hours. So that's like perfect. But like usually in my drives, it's usually me and my wife, so we chat and stuff like that. So and that keeps me plenty entertained. But I'm not someone who thinks a lot about battery life because I think I'll be playing it a lot just in my house. I mean, I guess it could be one of those things where I want to be lazy and like be in the bedroom or something, but I'll still probably have a charger nearby, I would think. I don't know. So it's hard for me to say whether or not that's good or bad. For myself, I feel like I'll just have to let other people make that judgment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the personal thing. Like, to me, 3 hours with a game like Zelda, or up to 3 hours with a game like Zelda, is plenty. Like maybe accepting my 10-hour flights to the US. Like I don't
Mhm.
see a problem there. And
Mhm.
I also have, little battery charger that I carry around with me. So for me it's fine, but I mean really it's just a personal thing. So
So yeah, and I think so. That's battery life. I will note that from what I understand, from like and you open up the console and you look at like where they've put things and how they've allocated stuff. Like from what I understand, like what this isn't necessarily going to make it any better for those who are unhappy with the battery
mhm.
life. But like that's pretty much like the best they can do in battery technology.
Yeah.
Like the stuff they have in there, like they're like people are impressed that it is able to do that much, so to speak. Like there's like no extra space. Like they literally can't fit a bigger battery, and it's one of the best battery stuff they have on the market, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is really the first of its kind, like this isn't a handheld console, but it is. So I mean, 3 hours on I guess a normal console on the run is pretty good, in my opinion. There's my opinion. It's thrown out there,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
Tweet me
I
and
mean,
how much you hate me because of my opinion. Okay. Anyways.
well, it's just one of those things. The way I see it is, it's like you play for 3 hours until you can get to a charger
Yeah.
again. And how easy, and again, I totally get that for some people that might be difficult, and I could
Hmm.
understand it. Um, so it's an interesting little thing. Let's move on. I think to the technical issues that we have been hearing. I think this is worth talking about. What have you been hearing?
So the left Joy-Con is
This is probably the most infamous one. If any of you follow Nintendo stuff in your own time, of course, you may have heard about
yeah.
this.
So I'm sorry if any of you are left-handed, but Nintendo doesn't like you. Okay, no.
That would be me. I'm
Well,
left-handed.
Nintendo doesn't like you. I'm just kidding.
Nintendo doesn't like me.
I think I actually knew that. That's why I said it. Anyway, so the
Right?
left Joy-Con, and this does happen with the right Joy-Con, but it seems to happen a lot more with the left Joy-Con, is that um, it tends to get disrupted more often than the right Joy-Con does when things get in front of it. So, for example, I know this was Game Explained that looked really far into the issue. They had their left Joy-Con and they would stick like their right hand in front of the Joy-Con, and then
So, like, when you say in front, is it just like no matter where you are, or is it like when it's in TV
so this
mode?
is I think they were playing in TV mode, so it was like what, 10 feet away, and
Actually, yes, I think you're right, and I think something worth noting is with these technical issues, I believe most of these happen when it's in docked
yeah.
mode, TV mode. That when in handheld mode, I believe that most of the people are saying that it actually works almost totally fine.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've heard any issues in
Yeah,
handheld mode.
I'd actually be very impressed if you could fit your hand between the game and the Joy-Con in that mode. No, I'm just kidding.
That is a fair point. I mean the whole rainbow of technical issues, but yes, that is a fair point. It would be difficult to stick your hand between it in
I
handheld
just
mode. Hey, wait, no, you can take
I
those
know.
off.
Okay.
You can take
I'm
them
actually
off and you can
curious.
slip
I'm
them
actually
off.
curious to see how many people have tried playing that way.
I've read a couple
And
for
I
sure.
mean, a lot of people said, "Yeah, it's fun, but I'd prefer one or the other." Like not the middle way, but yeah, so that is the issue. The I'm not sure about the normal buttons, but the sticks movement is really choppy when you when there's a little bit of interference between it and the system. And so the right Joy-Con has the same issue, but not even close to as bad. Like basically you can stick your hand in front of it and it won't have anything wrong with it. But if you like stick it behind your back or like have something between, I guess a significant something between the system and the Joy-Con is when this issue will happen. So you'll be
Mm-hmm.
running and then your character will start running in a completely opposite direction or something like that. So
So And it sounds like this is that issue in particular, or this issue in particular, is going to be one of those things that, depending on your setup, will vary on how much you're getting. Or is it one of those things that, like, you're just like putting your finger up to maybe hit one of the shoulder buttons on the left Joy-Con might give it some issues? Or is it like, I have a table in the center of the room and there's a vase or a statue of myself or whatever?
I think it. I mean, in general situations, it won't happen. Like, I think originally it was like one or two of the big news sites that like had mentioned this, and everyone else had never even like been in that situation. Like,
right.
No one was playing with their Joy-Con behind their back for some reason.
But trick
yeah.
switching.
And I mean, I'm making fun of it, but I mean, it is kind of a big deal, like, because everyone plays differently, and that's kind of this point of the system, is to have everyone play it the way they want it, have it work in whatever setup it's given. And I definitely want to play it on the couch like Koizumi, but I don't know if I'm that cool. So it is
with ice cubes.
Ice cubes. This ice cube, 3 ice cubes in the pan.
You know what? I just realized we did that whole little bit on the launch titles, and I don't think we mentioned 1-2 Switch once.
You mean just like now? Well, yeah. I mean, like, it's obvious, so.
Right, everyone's getting it anyway, so I didn't need to be brought
don't
up.
make fun of people that are getting that game.
Hey, 1-2 Switch. I watched gameplay of it, and like, there's no question it'll be good at the right times. Anyways, sorry, let's not get too off track. I should also mention while I'm
a week
off track,
from now,
we have someone in chat
milking...
who mentioned that there was an article of the battery lasting 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I've heard different estimates all the way between that to 3 hours for the battery life. So yeah, your mileage may vary. Anyways,
dude, just don't judge me, because a week from now I will be milking cows in HD Rumble, and you're gonna be jealous.
I am excited for 1-2 Switch to be up high on the Twitch viewed game list. Dude. I think there will be enough people dinking around on it that it will do, like, it'll get a lot of views like the first month or so, or like, well, not month, like 2 weeks.
Well, I'll
so.
probably be playing it next week, so even if you don't want Zelda spoilers, come by my stream and we can milk cows together.
I know. I'm debating if I want to play Snipperclips or Zelda first.
Yeah.
Any other technical issues?
Not that I can think of. Oh, there is
something.
We did talk about this. It seems that Zelda is running better in handheld mode than it is on the TV.
Yes, I heard that. I heard it was particularly around the grassy sections, actually, that it dipped a little bit. Like, I think the frame rate is what I heard would dip a little bit in those sections on the Switch. And I think, apart from that, I think when we come to those technical issues, I think we should kind of bundle this up. Because I think a lot of these things, I guess I should say, I think I have a point to make on all these. And it's similar, and especially in regards to the OS, and I think with the Joy-Con issue, patching.
Yes.
I think you're going to be seeing a lot of patches. And we know there's a day one patch. And like we said, we don't know how much of this stuff, if it will even tackle any of this. I hope it will at least attempt to. But I think a lot of these things Nintendo is going to try to hammer out through the coming months.
Yes, and Nintendo has actually said they have said that they are aware of the issue and they're looking into it. So I did read a news article about that. So that's awesome.
And you know what? I for one am all for game developers being able to patch their stuff. Like, I think having that expectation of everything being able to work perfectly, like, I think as a kid, I couldn't tell the difference between a bug and just weird stuff that the game was doing. Although hardware is another ball game, admittedly. But but like, now that we're more aware, I'm just glad developers can fix it. So. And I think Nintendo will do their best to do so, and I think even the Wii U was really slow and choppy. We were talking earlier about our buddy who bricked his Wii U the first day he got it, and they made a lot of progress in making sure that didn't happen again, and they did speed it up. So I'm hoping that a lot of these things can go the same way. I'm hopeful. I don't know when that will be. I hope at least by Splatoon it would be, is what I would say. But it better be good. A lot of these things better be fixed by frickin' the holidays, because that's when I think the money needs to hit the pavement, or whatever that phrase is. Their mouths need to hit the road.
Our mouths need to be fed with good updates. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
We are hungry.
That is why we are a team. That is why we do this stuff. The more we keep talking about it, the more little things I just keep on to bring up. And I don't want to, like, maybe you're listening to this and you've already heard all this, so hopefully we're not getting too redundant, but I heard that Nintendo, or I think it was Nintendo France, said something about no Bluetooth headsets working on the system, when Nintendo earlier said it would. And all I can think of is, it's like, well, if it isn't working now, it'll probably get updated to do so. But I don't. But it's just. But apart from that, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things that there's going to be a lot of these like little issues, or well, not a lot, but you'll hear some people talk about these little issues. But like when we hit Mario Odyssey and whatever comes out next year, like people aren't going to remember this stuff. I feel like a lot of this stuff's just going to be in the past. And I think it's imperative that Nintendo make sure that happens.
Yeah, well, you know how Nintendo is with updates. I mean, the Wii is going to be able to play DVDs, and the Wii U is going to have 2 gamepads on it, so...
Oh, man.
All right.
No.
I still love Nintendo. I love Nintendo more than anyone. That's why I say these.
Like... You could kind of tell, though, at least with the 2 gamepads, like, they were really sheepish about it, too. And it was and admittedly, I think it still goes to my point. I think pretty much most people forgot about it.
Yeah, I didn't, because I was actually excited. Well,
I mean, people kind of forgot about the Wii U in general. but like, I don't remember seeing a lot of stuff they announced, and it, like, only very vaguely was it like, I wonder if this will support 2 gamepads, or when they're gonna finish that up. And eventually it was like 3 years down the line, it's like, wait a minute, didn't they promise you could do 2 gamepads or something?
Yeah.
That might just be because the gamepad wasn't.
I'm a gamepad fanboy, so I wanted my 2 gamepads.
Hey, I think Nintendo Land was way underrated, but and again, people who are in this podcast.
By the way, this just needs to be thrown in there. So I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, but I mentioned that I really liked a Zelda game that gets a lot of hate. In big news this week, Aonuma, like the Zelda guy, he said it was like his favorite Zelda game.
Yeah.
Phantom Hourglass, peeps.
I remember reading
Phantom Hourglass. That's the best Zelda game that's ever been created. So, there you go.
Confirmed. Just like Zelda 2 is Miyamoto's favorite or whatever. No, he said that was his like biggest regret or something.
Even after Wii Music?
Wii what? There was a Wii Music? I don't know what you're talking about.
This was like...
I'm teasing.
Okay, I see.
Wii Music.
Oh.
The old Wii E3
Project
days.
Robot. Gosh, this Nintendo episode has just like turned into a big cry fest of things that never came.
Hey, I think like here, let's talk about let's throw on a new background. Account system check in this console, not region lock check. Nintendo does improve on some things. That definitely does happen, but there have been a lot of balls dropped. Ooh, probably not the best phrase. A lot of opportunities left in the sands of time. How about that?
That's a good analogy. I like it.
And I think that Wii era, I do think there has definitely been a Nintendo that has been like, hey, let's throw it out and see what sticks. And they're by no means a perfect company.
Well, I think it's cool that they have the guts to try those new things. That's that's who they are. Like, they're gonna try something new, and if it doesn't work, then they'll scrap it. But if it does work, then
Yeah.
it sells like hotcakes. So,
Which again, I think that is exactly why Breath of the Wild is going to be awesome, because they have said I think, and this I largely think should be credited to Eiji Onuma for those who know about the people who work on the games, but a strong analysis of what works, what they want, and this will probably segue us right into Zelda previews. But I think Breath of the Wild, I've always thought it's shaping up to look really good, and I like the direction they took it, even not having played it. Just like some of like the philosophies they've said they've had has really gotten me like, that's the kind of mindset I want them to have. Whether or not the game is good, I don't know, but that's the kind of things I want them to do. They spend a lot of time thinking about or they talk about how like with Breath of the Wild, you pretty much turn on the game, it's a really small little cutscene, and you go. You play versus a Zelda game I really like, and that's Skyward Sword, which you have a long time before you really get into it.
It's like 15 minutes of cutscene, right? Like something like that.
Well, it's like a lot of cutscenes, a lot of little tutorials, and we're talking like little stuff. Like Breath of the Wild, it opens up in a cave, and you come out of the cave, and minor spoilers, I guess. And
pretty sure that was E3 stuff, so you're good.
And you walk, and you find stuff, and like you go, and the game doesn't hit you over the head with anything.
Take off your shirt. So. There you go.
And Link, A Link Between Worlds also took a lot of these ideas of like, hey, let's not just talk about like what makes a good story or some interesting mechanics, but make sure we understand the player experience and all that jazz. And I think Splatoon is also exemplary of that. I think they've done a lot to do that. But let's talk Breath of the Wild.
Yes, sir.
All right. So how about I do a little preface and say, you may have been warned online to be careful of hype. Whether you were a huge fan of No Man's Sky, whether you saw the 2015 Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer and then slowly begin to realize that it'll be 2027 before you actually get to play the game. Hype is a dangerous thing, and so people tell you not to get super hyped. So why am I giving this preface? Of course, because the things people are saying in some of the reviews I've been reading or previews I've been reading about Breath of the Wild are, to me, rather hypey. They're very hypey, and it's almost like the case study where it's like here's the things you don't want to just say because it feels like bluster and hype, but then it's like this. You don't want to be disappointed because if you read it's the best Zelda game since Ocarina of Time, you might pee your pants or something. And then if you find out that it wasn't, you'll be upset.
think you meant the best Zelda since Phantom Hourglass, right?
Since Phantom Hourglass. So with that being said, Jellyfishing, what have you heard about Breath of the Wild?
So I might be famous on this podcast for having my very wave-like levels of hype towards this game. But
waves like the oceans of the sea upon which Phantom Hourglass.
Well, that's because I'm a Wind Waker Phantom Hourglass kind of guy, so I just love the ocean. I just can't get enough ocean. But anyways, I am really hyped right now, especially hearing all these good things and like the internet. At least in the past 5 to 10 years, it is just like the place to rip things apart, and
I actually might disagree with you a little bit on that. I think the really big heavy hitters, quote unquote, those AAA behemoths. I think a lot of times they could be a little too easy.
I can agree,
because I was reading a discussion, and this isn't going to be Nintendo stuff, so brace yourselves. But I was reading the discussion at the DICE Awards. They gave the fighting game of the year to Street Fighter V, and while that seems safe, that's kind of the point. But Street Fighter V had a lot of
Yeah.
issues that made a lot of people very upset. It didn't sell very well, from what I understand. I think Pokken outsold it, which is saying a lot, even though I love Pokken. But I mean, I'm not going to say it's not a good game, but like a lot of the features it didn't have from launch and stuff like that, and yet it still got a lot of. Well, I should say it didn't review very well. I should say that. But like people are talking about how in the DICE Awards, it's like they give it to this game even though it was so maligned, and like they don't want to reward publishers for releasing games the way they did and stuff like that. So sorry, I don't want to go too much off.
Well,
track,
but
I would kind of think I kind of almost expect people to give Breath of the Wild good reviews because it's just a good, or it's like it's a neat Zelda game, I guess.
Well, yeah, but that being said, the last Zelda game was, I think, had very mixed reviews, at least with Skyward Sword. And I mean last Zelda game, I mean the last console Zelda game.
Yeah, because Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, I got good reviews, and it was a good game. And I didn't play Triforce Heroes. I really want to, but I never got around to it.
I didn't either.
I just like traditional Link, and I didn't really want to be Princess Link. But
oh, that's interesting. I just popped on Skyward Sword got a 93.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, but I think every Zelda game, maybe not every Zelda game, but a lot of them and a lot of games have these. There's the random news site that will like just give it a crap score or say like this ruined the game. But like from what I have seen, like it has been really consistent, really good, like at least the first 5 hours or so of the game is really positive. The world is awesome. The way that things are executed is really nice. Like the gameplay is just fun. It's a smooth like transition, like you said. It's not. I assume there's not much hand holding, and that's what I've heard, which is known in the Zelda universe. Because you wake up and you're expected to be 3 years old, and you can't walk yet. But
it wouldn't be a Zelda game if you didn't wake up, though.
It's true. I better wake up.
Here, let me read you guys. Is that proper English? Let me read to you guys one in particular. I mean, I could actually go through a few of these, but Engadget, this is a snippet from their preview. It says, 5 hours in, it feels like a contender for the strongest game Nintendo has launched a console with since Super Mario 64. If you weren't thinking about playing it before now, I implore you to reconsider that thought. That's Engadget. GameSpot, which is, I think, is one that usually is pretty good at avoiding hyperbole and like overblown reviews, says Breath of the Wild embodies the freedom and danger that made the first Zelda game so enthralling, and captures the feeling of awe that came when Ocarina of Time hit the scene. It's safe to say that Breath of the Wild will forever change what people expect from the series. There you go. There's two little previews. Maybe you've heard them, maybe you haven't. I think I agree with GameSpot's. To put a game near the same level as Mario 64 is like almost sacrilege in gamedom. Yeah. Because Super Mario 64 is a well-liked game for good reason. So it sounds like it's good.
The high boot
is that there's a simple preview. There you go. That's the Wonder Raid preview of Breath
the preview of the previews.
It sounds like it's good. I mean, it sounds like it'll be very much worth your money, and we're not hearing issues like, I played it for a couple hours and then this started to get annoying or this started to get annoying. Here's what I hear. I hear it's hard. I hear there's a pretty strong amount of difficulty. But I hear it's a lot of fun and it's really engrossing and there's a lot of little details and stuff like that just make it a pleasure to play. I don't know anything. I haven't heard any previews in regards to like the story or anything.
Okay, so this doesn't have to do with the story, but I think this is just ingenious. Like I don't think this has anything to do with the story. But have you heard how they, I guess, respawn enemies that have died?
Negative.
So okay, I don't think this is a spoiler, so I'm gonna say it. But if you're like, if you don't even want
Okay,
to hear,
potential maybe spoiler warning. Whoop,
it's because
whoop,
Ganon does
whoop.
this and Ganon. No, anyway, anyway,
And Linebeck
this
shows
what, dude?
up.
Oh my gosh! Don't make me freak out. That's the reason I love that game. Anyways, okay. So how they respawn enemies? I think it's like once every 3 night cycles, like day night cycles. There's something called the blood moon, and it rises and it's red, and then that's when the enemies are like respawned and rejuvenated. It's like it's within the story, like it's every couple days that all the enemies come back to life and like the dark powers like control this night or whatever. I just think that's so cool. And
Mm.
like they showed a cutscene from it, and it's just
Hmm.
like this
That is
evil
pretty
blood
cool.
red moon shows up, and then all the enemies are like coming back. And like I think that was such a genius idea, like to keep the reality within it. Like, oh, the enemies are back. It's like no, like that's part of the story. So, anyways, I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty cool. That's the only thing I really know.
that is neat. And I think that's kind of what people can expect. Like, it sounds like it's a very well put together
Hmm.
package. And I know that one review preview I said like 5 hours. I know I've seen tweets and things like that from certain groups that are like that have been like 20, 30 hours or
Hmm.
whatever. Actually, wait, is that possible? Maybe I'm wrong because I don't know how long they've had it.
Yeah.
But anyways, but that for people who played longer than 5 hours, that they're still reporting high levels of enjoyment,
Yeah.
high emotional thrills. But yeah, I think the biggest things I know that have kind of stuck out to me is, like I said, is that it's hard. It's a bit rougher on difficulty, which I think will be refreshing for a lot of
Yep.
people, because Zelda games haven't been necessarily known for their difficulty as of late, or if it is, it's not necessarily in like the best of ways, kind of a thing.
Difficulty in spamming the A
And
button
then
through
right,
through lots of
um,
text. No.
honestly, this is here. You can do a Wonder Raid prediction, but like I see this game getting really like not like it'll be one of the most viewed games on Twitch come launch.
Totally. Yeah.
And this will absolutely be an evergreen title. Like it sounds like it's shaping up to be exactly what Nintendo wanted
Hmm.
it to be. Arguably, it's been in development for so long. You would hope so.
Yeah.
Um, but it'll be really interesting. I mean, it was kind of a weird, like growing up as a kid again to like walk around and see Pokemon so prevalent with Pokemon
Hmm.
Go. And now I think Zelda's going to dominate a lot of the discussion when it comes to Switch.
Totally.
And you will see a lot of people say, I don't know if I should get a Switch. Well, have you played the new Zelda? And they might say, well, I have a Wii U. And it's like, whoa, you have a Wii U? I think you're going to see Zelda being the gap closer for a lot of people. And we'll see if it's strong enough to carry the launch all by itself. And I think it might have that potential.
Yep.
But I think with re-pushing that extra DLC they're doing around Christmas time or whatever holiday,
Yeah.
it'll be one of the biggest names come the holiday.
Yep. So the signs look promising.
Yeah, I think that's the best
Yeah.
way to say it. Is it just the previews are very
Mhm.
good. Are people overcolored by hype? Not necessarily, and I think that's a really good
Yeah.
sign. Reviews, it doesn't look like people are trying to impress their English professor with some of the previews I've been seeing. It looks like people are being pretty straightforward to just saying this is a really good game, and that's what's going to be awesome.
That's probably more promising than anything else. Than saying
Yeah.
7.9
I-
out of 10 too much water, something like that.
Here. Let's put it this way. This was. I'm gonna throw this out as an extension of my prediction, but absolutely, I think this will be in everyone's Game of the Year list as a nominee.
Oh, definitely.
And I would be very interested to see if Mario Odyssey can hit the same
Or
highs.
Splatoon.
Or Splatoon, yeah, dude.
This
Splatoon
year's
2,
this year's
Mario
gonna be
Odyssey,
exciting,
Breath of
man.
the Wild.
Like,
That's a
Yeah.
good year.
like, sorry, Wii U. Like,
enough.
Your year was like the next
And
year or the one after that, maybe. It wasn't launch year. Like as a Wii U lover, I
you
will
know
say
what?
that.
I think this is yeah, and I think that's actually an important mention because like I've with the Switches and its lineup and everything like that, like you get a lot of talk. It's interesting. I've seen the talk of price go down a lot. Like any issues I
Yeah,
saw,
it's
like
gone.
people still are talking about the lineup not being great, but I don't see nearly as many people talking
Yeah,
about the
which
price
means it
not being
wasn't a
great.
problem in the first place when people were just talking about.
Well, there's I'm not gonna paint
Well,
that part. I'm not
it's
gonna. There's
expensive,
definitely
but
people that were legitimately upset about it, but I think overall it is a really good
yeah.
price.
Well, with the cheaper of the two Wii U consoles that we're selling being the same price
Uh,
as the Switch,
yeah,
I think it's a pretty good deal.
yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's not like hard
But
for
I
people to
think
buy, but
yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. But I think like people talk about this the lineup, and
Mhm.
I've been seeing all sorts of different comments on it, and it's just like everyone's talked so much about the lineup, but people are like, it wasn't the lineup, even though the Wii U's lineup wasn't great.
Yeah.
It wasn't the lineup that like the launch titles that killed the Wii U. It was the lack of momentum
Yeah.
that it had. There was those droughts and like those not interesting games coming out in the next little
Yeah.
bit. And the Switch looks absolutely ready. If it can at least nail Odyssey and maybe either
Mhm.
like Fire Emblem Warriors or Xenoblade 2, like that's
Yeah.
amazing. Like that's pretty dang good. And then hopefully it can nail a couple other third party or some big third party
Yeah.
stuff. I think Dragon Quest XI is going to be big. It's just like that's
Yeah.
awesome. I think the fact that it'll have good games coming out for like pretty consistently these next couple of months.
Yeah.
That's stellar. I hope Arms gets to be one
Yeah.
of those big titles. But yeah, now I'm going
Yeah.
in circles.
I have something to say about that, but I think that is really promising, and like I think another thing that they were really kind of slow into getting into with the Wii U was updates and how games work with updates. Like they had never really dealt with updates and like, new content and things like that before. And so, I mean, originally Pikmin 3 was they had mentioned it was going to be a Wii U launch title, and then when they finally came around, they're like, "No, it'll be like, probably within the first year." And then what was it eventually? Like
Mm-hmm.
a year and a half later or something that Pikmin 3 finally
Yeah,
came out.
because
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, like now
it was
they
June or
yeah.
July.
Okay, so I guess it wasn't that long, but um, I think what's really promising is we have something like Splatoon. Like when it first came out, it was really bare bones, like, but you could play it. It was
Mm-hmm.
fun and it was promising. Like people could touch, had that chance to like play it and be like, okay, this is fun. And then they continuously came out with content afterwards. So like, I
Mm-hmm.
think they have a lot better of a chance to stick with their release schedule without pushing things back, which I think
Mm-hmm.
was really bad with the Wii U, with certain things getting pushed
Yeah.
back and certain schedules being different than what they had planned, and lineups at certain times weren't as good as they had hoped. So I think, you know, looking to this year
Mm-hmm.
and the games that are supposedly going to come out, I would be very surprised if they push them back. So
I think, yeah, I agree. And they mentioned how like HD development was a little bit rough for them when they started on
yeah.
the Wii U, and that was one of the reasons stuff got
Mhm.
delayed. And like you said, yeah, now they should have a lot more experience with
Mhm.
that. I think if you look like the PS4, the PS4 doesn't have to like prove itself anymore, right? And we kind of there's kind of this air in a lot of even in our discussions that like the Switch is going to have to prove itself, and I think that's valid. Being it's a new console, you have to tell people why they need to spend $300
Yeah.
on it. I think we will definitely hit a point, and I think by the holiday season where the Switch will be pretty well justified, and I think that's something the Wii U simply never really did in the eyes of the mainstream consumer. And I think that alone poises the Switch to do better than the Wii U did. And now obviously it's a low bar, but
Oh man, you're just hitting me
unfortunately,
below the belt every
but
time.
I know. I'm right there with you. I think Wonderful 101 is like one of the biggest missed gems. Anyways, but I think the Switch is well poised to be a system where people no longer talk about like, is it a console that's worth my time? Yeah. It'll just be like, it'll just be people giving the whole like, when I get money, I'll probably get around to grabbing a Switch. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a console on my definite, like, it has stuff I want.
Yeah.
Which the Wii U people were able to kind of ignore it. I think Breath of the Wild is not going to be able to be ignored very well.
Yeah.
Because people certainly aren't going to go find a Wii U for it unless they already got one.
Yeah. Well, they're not creating them anymore.
It's not a huge crowd. So. Right. So, yeah. I think that's a lot of good stuff we talked about.
Yep, and we're just about hitting our hour mark. Oh, wait, we already have ish, but...
Yeah, that's what my numbers are telling me. Let's wrap her up. Let's wrap Arena.
All right, well, last Dame podcast before it's out. Crazy stuff.
I mean, technically, we could still do one before it came out, but I think we'll probably wait.
If we're doing it, then like I'm gonna be playing while we're doing it, man, because I'm a day before all you in the U.S., so I'll be.
That's true. You live in future land.
Yes, I do. However,
glorious future
it's
land.
Being delivered to me, so unless it's in my house by 4 p.m., then people in the U.S. getting it at midnight.
Is Koizumi delivering it to you himself?
What?
Is Koizumi delivering it to you?
He was going to, but then they just had him in this last Nintendo Minute episode, so he's in like Washington and stuff. So
it's true. I just saw that.
By the way, if you haven't seen it, go look at the thumbnail for that one. It's really great. Like with Koizumi in the middle, being like surrounded. Anyways.
Hopefully, by the end of the Switch, Koizumi gets to be more of a household name. He seems like a really fun face of Nintendo.
I love him. We need him because Miyamoto isn't like he doesn't really come out and do as silly things anymore because Iwata's not there. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Iwata brought a lot.
Yeah, like we don't see Kimishima wearing Luigi hats and Miyamoto coming and sucking like the vacuum.
Yeah, we need more Luigi outfits.
All right. Well.
Cool. I should mention this. I totally spaced it in the news section, so sorry to put a little piece of news at like the very end of the podcast. But on the 28th, which is Tuesday, there is going to be a Nindies presentation, so a Nintendo Indies Direct kind of a thing. So we'll probably get some more tidbits there. Maybe we'll do like an early podcast if there's enough good stuff. Anywho, let's wrap this up. All right. I think there will be some legitimately cool stuff there. I shouldn't downplay that, but we're ending, so I just feel silly.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Well, have a good week, everyone.
All right, send us away. Yep. Any shout-outs?
Shout-outs to all of you. My grandchildren.
Any self-advertisements that you want to
do? I don't know when.
Or should we just say the usual? We've said it a couple times, and we can put the links in the description.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be streaming whenever I get my Switch. I took Friday off of work, and that's Thursday night for you guys. So if anyone wants to, I don't know when they'll be delivering it, but I will be streaming the Switch right when I get it. So feel free to drop by my stream.
And it sounds like you're doing 1-2 Switch.
I don't know.
Right?
I'll probably be doing a little bit of both. And I've got my Mii saved to my Amiibo, so I can transfer it right over. So,
which is important.
I'll actually probably be playing Zelda first, but then I'll probably play 1-2 Switch because I'm just too tempted to try it. Like the HD Rumble, I actually don't know if it.
And that's at Jellyfish
N. Yep. And
Jellyfish, and then the letter N. I'm Raid. You can find me at Wonder Raid. That's 2 R's, I suppose. And that's RADE, not like RAID. Yep. I had issues like that when I would go to Smash tournaments and have to tell them how to spell it because I'm a special snowflake, I guess.
Add us on Nintendo accounts too. So.
Yeah. Cool. Let's say farewell, and we'll see you all next week. And we're excited.
All right. I'm Jellyfishing.
I'm Raid, and this is good. Bye.